Good afternoon, everybody, from beautiful Kent Island, Maryland. Spring is about to spring on us. I'm here with Rohry Flood, one of the owners, brewers, and all-around good guys here at Cult Classic Brewing. Rohry, how you doing, man?
I'm fantastic. Perfect day. Market's alive and well, and drinking beer.
Hey. And I'm sitting here with their new cherry chocolate porter.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's like dessert in a glass, man. What do you got, man?
I'm doing the Citrus Session. Yeah. It was our birthday beer last year. We're down to the last few drops of it, and I'm trying to absorb as much as possible.
Cool. So we first met you guys a few years ago when you first opened this place, and for all of our, Delmarva Craft listeners and viewers who are for whatever reason not familiar with Cult Classic Brewing, can you take a few minutes and tell us how you guys got started?
Absolutely, yeah. So Jesse and Brooks McNew, the two brothers, ran Annapolis Homebrew for 20 years, brewed every beer on the planet, introduced a ton of people to the craft, and helped a lot of people find jobs in the market in Maryland and elsewhere, brewing and working in the beer world. And finally, when all the taproom restrictions finally came back a little bit from the state, they decided it was time to make the move and open up the spot. So they found a couple investors, and we came and beat up this old Acme building that hadn't been touched for about 10 years and gutted it down to the skeleton and brought her back to life.
Okay, so I'm gonna jump back here. It's like, so you said you got an old Acme store. You guys got a ton of space. You got one of the biggest tasting rooms that I've ever been in the state of Maryland. And not only that, you also have an entertainment venue here. So you can have a tasting room full of people at the bar, and then the tables and the booths, eating and drinking, enjoying themselves. And you can have a concert going on in the next room.
Yep, yeah, and it's a true listening room. We don't have a bar in this space. It's really about the artist and people going to enjoy the artist. And it just makes for perfect evenings when you've got, right now we can put about 50 people in the room, and we've sold out every single show we've put on in there since we were allowed to come back in. And then, we can have another just about 70 people in the tap room right now. And it gets pretty full on the weekends, but, everybody's socially distanced and safe, and we're having a lot of fun and moving some beer.
And now the name of the brewery, Cult Classic, it's a movie-themed, name. What made you guys come up with that?
So these guys are big-time movie geeks, but not blockbuster kind of movies. They like I don't even know if I'd call them B movies. They might be C or D. They have introduced me to some really interesting stuff, and so they were geeking out about it. And the whole concept behind Cult Classic is that it's passionately loved by a small group of people, and so we thought that was such a cool idea to grow with, and the beer speaks to the same thing. So, we're not trying to be every single person on the planet's beer, but the people who drink this love it, and it's great, crisp, delicious beer.
That's awesome. And as I said, we met you guys a few years ago, and we've gone back around now because everybody on the planet, as you know, has been affected by COVID-19. This pandemic has really, especially small businesses like yours, really made everybody stop and go, wait a minute, what's going on? How are we going to run our business? How's this going to work? So we've been circulating back to all of our friends in the craft beer and the beverage industry to find out, how this has affected your business and what kind of measures you guys have had to take. So the first question I want to ask is, last March, almost exactly a year ago, and in fact it's March 11th, so 1 year ago today, the CDC declared this a worldwide pandemic. And then people like you and me went, what? Wait, what does that mean?
Yeah.
So when you guys started to comprehend the immensity of this situation, what were your thoughts at that moment?
Oh, it was scary stuff. We had just finished a kitchen build out that had been open for about 2-3 weeks, and we had just gotten a new liquor license to be able to do full cocktails and stuff. And we, put all the time and money into this project, and all of a sudden it all just came to a screeching halt. It took everybody at the government stage, a minute to figure out what we were allowed to do, and then they finally passed laws that we were allowed to sell alcohol for carryout and curbside, which was massive. But it was about 2 months of really scary stuff, and just not knowing what's going on. Are we essential? How many people are dying, and all that crazy scary stuff. And also it's like, how important is it that we're here? And we realized almost immediately, the farmers market called us right after the state had shut down. They were looking for a place. We found out they were mandatory, and we brought them on, and basically they come here every Thursday. But that was kind of the catalyst for us to really look at what we can do for the community during the pandemic. And so we started with bringing the market on board, and then we did an overhaul on the menu. Everything is fresh, made in-house, hand-tossed pizzas, hand-pattied burgers, and we're just trying to make sure that the community has what it needs from this space, in addition to us being able to sling some beer.
Yeah, and you mentioned the farmer's market, and I neglected to mention up front, we're sitting here right in the middle of the farmer's market, probably obstructing somebody's path.
I think we're hearing some conversations in the background too.
yeah, but this is part of what's come out of the pandemic and the changes you've made here. So once, you know, the government kind of said, here's what you can do, here's what you can't do, and I should say from all the podcasts we've been doing this week, across the country, it's the same thing. It took a minute before people to sort out, okay, what is going to be okay, what's not going to be okay. So as this all unfolded and you started making the changes and you brought on the farmers market and everything, what's been the biggest challenge for you and the staff here?
Honestly, it's one of those things that it's probably not even really worth complaining about, but the biggest challenge for us right now is the world's kind of tired of playing by the rules that have been laid out, and so we have to police it. And nobody here wants to do it. So it's tough when people are having a good time to say, hey, we really need you to put a mask on. We really need you to grab a seat. We can't have people in here standing, walking around, laughing and having a good time. We like to make the joke that it's illegal to dance, because I think it's illegal to dance right now. And so we try to have some fun with it. But honestly, that's been the hardest part. It's just trying to work with everybody to make sure they know that we have to play by the rules, because we want to be able to stay open.
So it's illegal. If it's illegal to dance, we kind of have a Footloose situation here.
Yes, it is.
Which seems like it's screaming out for somebody to create a beer called Footloose when this is all over, right? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Absolutely. And why not a movie themed brewery to do it?
And for those of you who don't get that, that's an old guy reference. See also 6 Degrees to Kevin Bacon, or whatever the hell that game's called. So then, there's a big challenge. But have there been opportunities that presented themselves to you guys as a result of the pandemic that maybe weren't even on your radar before it occurred?
That's a great question. I think, going back to the community piece, we have made a lot of connections with different partners, whether it's some of the vendors here at the market who do stuff in addition to that, some community organizations, sometimes our local EMS or firefighters and police come here and do events as well. So really, it's just going back to the concept of what can we offer to the community, how can this space be for everybody, and then as a result, we'll have some beer to go with it. So one of the really fun things we got to do was last year was a dumpster fire, and we called it that pretty early on. And then we got the bright idea to actually have a dumpster fire. And so we spent a couple months trying to track down somebody who'd let us burn a dumpster. And then we found an old dumpster that was getting scrapped. And we worked with Patuxent Roll-Off, and they dropped the thing off. We basically just paid for delivery and drop-off. And we had the Kent Island Volunteer Fire Department come over. They brought a crew of 20 over. They did a training simulation on how to put out a dumpster fire, but they did that with about exactly 250 people here to watch the dumpster fire on New Year's. So we burned 2020, and then, clean start for 2021. So that was one of the fun things.
So there are now 250 people in Queen Anne's County who know how to put out a dumpster fire.
Yes.
This is probably a higher concentration than anywhere else in America, I would venture a guess.
Dude, those things get hot. I was up on top of that roof, and that dumpster was pretty much right where we're sitting. You could feel the flames. It was cooking. Yeah.
So not to get on a complete tangent, but from the time the fire was put out, how long did it take that steel to cool down before you could move it?
We put the cones about 30 feet out, and nobody got near it for at least a day. So
wow.
It was cool though. We did a little ball drop, and we had a host out here and just played some music and had a good time.
So now you guys, you've got the weekly farmers market now.
Yep.
You've got a kitchen in, and you're preparing and serving your own food. When will things like concerts resume? And we just heard yesterday or 2 days ago from the governor of Maryland that you'll be able to basically, at the state level, they've taken off restrictions for occupancy. What does that really mean to you now at a county level? So my question, without being too wordy anymore, is when can you open the doors and have the whole place full, and when can you have full-on concerts in your room again?
That is a great question, and we really don't know. I mean, the day we can do that is when they lift the 6 foot separation. So the thing with the government lifting the capacity is that everybody was already at 50% capacity, having to be 6 feet apart, and as a result, nothing has changed. So we did the math. We could have maybe added 4 seats to the entire building. Because everything's still got to be 6 feet apart.
Right.
So it's a nice gesture, and if we had a somehow bigger space, I guess we'd have more room for it. But it hasn't fully switched on yet, and it won't be until they lift that. So in the meantime, it's seated concerts, which is great. They're intimate shows, and we just book intimate shows, but we can't do that full-on melt your face rock stuff that when we were doing 200 plus people in the room, standing only, that was pretty magical. So I would love to say October or November. We really hope to be back at that point, but in the meantime, we'll use the outdoor space. We can get more people in. We've got a little stage over there. And
so how has the support been from the community throughout this? I mean, since you couldn't have a full concert venue, you couldn't have a full tasting room, as you alluded to earlier, curbside and delivery and that kind of stuff. How's the reception been in the community to that?
It's been fantastic. I think one of the really cool things is that everybody's kind of stepped up and made sure that we keep these local landmarks, all these local businesses and restaurants up and running. There's not a ton of music in this area, so we're glad that we're still able to provide a home for the musicians. But on the back end, the community's been great. I mean, like, selling to-go liquor is not. Nobody really wants to buy a 16-ounce cocktail that you'd pay the same price at the bar for, but then you got to take it home. But people still stepped up and bought that stuff and kept the money flowing in for us, which was nice, because it was a real treat trying to navigate all the PPP paperwork and all the other things, the other bones that the government threw us for trying to keep us afloat as well. But the community's been awesome, and they've showed up for everything. I mean, every event we do, like I said, every single concert, even though they're intimate, 50-person sold out. The market's been outside the entire winter, and it's never been dead, which is cool. So that was important for the market to stay outside and have people feel like they're safe to shop.
Cool. So you've got the market, you got the kitchen, you had intimate concerts, you've had musicians outside here, and another thing you guys have started doing is canning your beer for distribution.
Yeah, we got we started with an initial run of 3 of our best sellers, which is our Strawberry Blonde Ale, our Equals Beer Blood Orange IPA, and the IPA When the Earth Stood Still. Yeah, and then we threw on our sour, our first sour that we did, our Proof of Life series, which is a pink guava blueberry. That sold out real quick. So we just brewed another batch, but cans has been tough to get. So we got a huge order coming in. We're adding Kolsch to the cans as well, so that's now going to be called the Thirst. That's the title we're going with for the Kolsch, and it's got a vampire on the can, kind of an old vampire thing going on. And we got more sour coming down the pipe. We'll be getting cans for that. We've also worked out with a couple different organizations now. We'll be brewing beer for, I don't think I can legally say it yet, but one of the important local restaurants and inns is going to be purchasing beer through us that we're brewing and canning for them. And then one of our local minor league baseball teams is also going to be picking up some of our beer this summer as well. So we are psyched. We got to get those designs in the next day or two, but yeah, we're going to keep the production flowing.
Then your distribution, for anybody who's interested in picking up your cans, now you're exclusively on the Eastern Shore now, or you've crossed the bridge to the Western Shore?
So we're still self-distributing on the Western Shore. The Eastern Shore, we're working with Kelly Distributing, who have been awesome. Picked up a ton of beer from us in the first, I think we're at like 6 or 7 weeks right now, and we're just flying through product, which is fantastic. And hopefully we'll be able to add those kegs when the dock bars open up this summer and everybody else is looking to bring draft back. I hope. God, I miss having draft beer. Everybody's just selling cans at the bar.
That's awful.
Yeah.
I personally, I seek out bars that still have the taps open.
Yeah.
So what other, as we pivot from the pandemic, everybody's starting to get vaccinated now, the sun's coming back out, we're hopeful to have a somewhat sane summer here on the Eastern Shore of Maryland. What new plans in the future can we look forward to from Cult Classic Brewing?
Oh, we have a lot going on. This summer we hope to include some outdoor movies on the side of the building, some more outdoor concerts as well. We're going to toy with the idea of some festivals as the weather gets nicer. The same farmers market space, we're getting plans together to do a weekly yard sale where local residents can basically drive in and pay for a table to hawk their wares, to sell their future trash. And then one of the other fun things we're working on right now is we decided that Ken Island needs a mayor. And so we've invented the position of Mayor of Ken Island, which I'm surprised nobody's yelled at us for yet. And we're having an election on Cinco de Mayo. So on May 5th every year, Ken Island will elect a new mayor, and they will be a spokesperson. We'll have some office space here for them, try and work with them to develop a beer and some burger and pizza specials, and then have a spot for citizens to lay down their issues, and then hopefully through whatever we can do in that office, we'll try and and deal with them. You know.
Is there a residence requirement to be
Yes.
the mayor? And
Yeah.
what is the nominating process? Because I can think of a few people I might want to put forward.
Well, we decided we weren't going to do write-ins because I don't want to count weird votes. So you had to live in the 21666 or 21638, Stevensville or Chester zip codes. And you have to be over 21 because you have to be able to drink beer. And so, you know, they'll show up for ribbon cuttings. But we have three candidates on the ballot this year that got their stuff in on time. So Jay Corsi Willis, a local musician, Forrest Anderson, a local musician, and Mike Hamner, a local musician, are all on the ballot. So it should be a lot of fun. But we'll be open at 11 o'clock on Cinco de Mayo for the Cinco de Mayo election. And looking forward to having the residents come out and have some fun.
May have to be some video coverage of that event because that's inspired lunacy right there.
I think I'm going to change my business card now. Inspired lunacy. That's good.
Oh man, see, I wasn't ready for Cinco de Mayo. That's throwing me off. I forget what I was going to ask you next. We're going to have to edit this part out, man. So then, it's all good? It's all good because it's all funny? Staying in. So all I can hope for is for sympathetic editing, right? Which is frankly is unlikely.
Yeah.
So as I've been thumbs down, ladies and gentlemen.
Oof.
So as we get ready to wrap this up, I want to let people know where they can find Cult Classic Brewing. And for those of you who are not familiar with the area, when you cross the Bay Bridge across the gorgeous Chesapeake Bay to the eastern shore on Kent Island, within a minute of crossing, look to your left.
Yep.
And you will see this former Acme store that is now Cult Classic Brewing. Take the next exit, loop across the bridge, come back down. In just a couple minutes, you'll be at this place. Right on Route 50. An excellent place to stop on your way back from the shore. And I got to stop calling shore, from the ocean. I got 30 seconds of education. The eastern shore means the eastern shore of the bay, not Ocean City. So come to the eastern shore on your way back from Ocean City. Stop at Cult Classic, see Brooks and Jesse and Rory and the whole crew. Try some of their beers, pick up some cans, take them home. Better yet, go online to their website and find out what stores you can get their beer in.
Yeah.
And then, support the local guys. And before we check out, any last words, Rory, on Cult Classic and why everybody ought to come see you?
We have a ton of fun around here. The only thing we take seriously around here is our beer. So we hope you'll join us. And thank you guys so much for doing what you're doing, promoting all the breweries, around the shore especially. We're really looking forward to Pour Up the Shore in October. And we'll be there with bells on. I've been saving bells as promised. So I've got a jar of them in my office.
We're going to, you know what Morris dancing is?
I don't, but is it legal?
It's a British thing where you have little bells on, wear knee-high stockings and bells. You do this crazy stuff that my son-in-law, who's British, told us about, which he'll never live down now. Perhaps we'll be Morris dancing at Pour Up the Shore. But I'm going to jump on that plug. October 16th, Sudlersville, Maryland, at the Firehouse there. Tickets are available online. Literally every brewery on the eastern shore, from Cult Classic all the way up to the Pennsylvania line, the distilleries, the wineries, they're all coming. Lots of local vendors, lots of local food trucks, bouncy houses, fire truck rides, you name it. We're going to have a good time and hopefully raise a ton of money for our first responders here in Queen Anne's County. So thanks to Rory and everybody at Cult Classic. And I'm Rick Carter for Delmarva Craft, and hopefully we'll see you in a tasting room here on the shore very, very soon.
Cheers.
Good stuff.